Hello, good people. This is the guy, Mr. Educator, Mr. Communicator, Mr. Free Thinker, coming back at you live once again from the Lone Star State with another edition of the Media Mike Speaks. All right, good people. I don't know if you've seen this story, but it's out of the USA Today. You can look this up yourself. It comes to us from Mr. Scott Gleason and Aisha Gilbert. Now, I know YouTube has been tripping lately about certain things, but look, this is coming from the headlines. It is ripped straight from the headlines. One of the missions of the Media Mike Speaks on YouTube, people, is to bring you the top stories that either you have not seen, have not heard of, and have not read. So let's get into this here. This is an interesting one. Questions. The COVID-19 vaccine has been scientifically proved to save lives, according to this article. But for a select group of people, a select group in the religious realm, a more important matter is at stake: eternal salvation. As the Delta variant of the coronavirus spreads, many Americans resist COVID-19 vaccines, some citing the uncertainty of long-term side effects, others lacking trust in the medical field. Some vaccine resistors have been galvanized by the idea that the shot is the, quote, mark of the beast. The mark of the beast in the New Testament book of Revelation signals an allegiance to Satan or those who reject God's memorial creatorship. Now, studies show that any conflicts between religion and science are not about facts. They are more about values and morals, said John Evans, a professor of sociology and religious studies at the University of California, San Diego. Oh yeah, that's the one where, anyway, we're not going to go into that. So check out my last video regarding the salad dressing. You have to check that out, good people. So, but we're going to get back to Mr. Evans in just a moment. Now, here's a question, as you saw in the comment section, well, description box, I mean. What does the mark of the beast scripture in Revelation say? So let's take a look here. The apocalyptic biblical term comes from Revelation 13, that magical number 13, 16:18. According to the Apostle John in the New International Version Bible, so there's many versions, good people, a pair of beasts will rule the earth with cruelty. The evil reach, which can be interpreted as hidden manipulation, will require all people who engage in commerce to wear the mark of the beast or mask. Just kidding. The Apostle John did not identify what the mark looks like, although some theologians translate scripture to associate the number 666, quote, with it. Now, good people, the King James Version of Revelation 13:16-18 reads, it quotes here, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666 more. So, Pastor Doran Wood, as you see here, of First Baptist Church in All Town of Midland, Texas, wrote in August for the Midland Reporter Telegram that said, one of my church family poised an honest question. Pastor, is the COVID vaccine the mark of the beast? I've been told it is. Now, this is the pastor speaking to one of the members of his congregation. Their question was an honest and heartfelt one, he said, and clearly they were anguished about it. In kindness, I answered, no, he goes on to quote, and thought little more about it until the question came again and again and again. Well, I guess so you thought that they would go away. Okay, he goes on to say here, there's no indication, he quotes, that the vaccine matches the mark described by the Apostle John. I've been seeing numerous articles and videos that suggest the vaccine represents a conspiracy of governmental control, or that the vaccine contains some sort of marking agent to identify those foolish enough to receive the vaccine. It's just not reasonable or logical to presume such a wide conspiracy is even possible. The question then arises as to why this wide mistrust in medical treatment has come, unquote. Sir, if you trust the medical profession, then okay, never mind. Now let's go on to the next question, good people. Why do people call COVID-19 vaccine the mark of the beast? Now, let's get back to Mr. Evans, Professor Evans. He said the lack of trust in the government and medical field is a driving force behind the mark of the beast belief. Well, can you blame them, sir? Anyway, he goes on to quote, former President Donald Trump tapped into American populism, and with that comes the disbelief of experts, unquote. I don't know where he get Trump ties into this. I don't know what that's all about. This is what he told the USA Today, good people. There is a small group of people who believe in the mark of the beast. A small group? Really? Okay. And I think what's driving that thought process is starting with various concerns about receiving the coronavirus vaccine that are not specifically religious, unquote. Evans said he suspects that the mark of the beast popularity stems from an adherence to a social or political identity. Okay, Mr. Professor. I don't know what all this means you're talking about. Social, political identity. Okay, but it's clearly, we know clearly, sir, you are not a minister or a man of the cloth. So, thank you very much. Now, Peter Feeman, a top Republican National Committee official in Florida, said last month that vaccines are the mark of the beast and comparable to a false god. In May, Feeman wrote on his blog of Governor Gretchen Whitmer encouraging vaccines in Michigan. Diabolical Michigan Governor Whitmer, or is it Whiter? Whitmer. Is it Whiter or Whitmer? I don't know. Wants her citizens to get the mark of the beast to participate in society, unquote. Now, according to Evans' studies, the majority of mark of the beast believers appear to be politically conservative and from Protestant Christian backgrounds, but they are politically conservative, okay? Now he goes on to quote, people with spiritual belief that all things are influenced by religion are more likely to believe mark of the beast, which is in every Christian's Bible, but people will focus on particular passages in the Bible to support their belief system, according to Evans, the professor, that is. Okay, you may have something there, but you're still not a man of the cloth, you're a sociology professor. Okay, anyway, what do religious leaders say? Harvard Christian Fellowship Pastor Greg Laurie, that's seen here, said COVID-19 vaccines are not the mark of the beast, but many Christians may believe they are, thinking the world is in what the Bible calls the last days. I kind of agree with that, with the last days part, but we'll get to that. Anyway, he goes on to quote, the Bible speaks of someone identified as the Antichrist, and he will require people have a mark that people will receive to buy and sell. Laurie told USA Today in an email, the COVID-19 vaccine or any vaccines have nothing to do with any of this, unquote. And how do you know this, sir? I would like to know. Let's continue. Laura, who has been vaccinated, said the mark will be a pledge of loyalty to the Antichrist, and no one will take the mark unknowingly. In Revelation 14, we learned that those, he goes on to quote, he's quoting, who take the mark are doomed. He said, God will not doom people for taking something unwittingly, unquote. Where, so I believe God can doom whomever he wants. He's God. But he goes on to quote, good people, sometimes these statements are packaged to look like Bible prophecy. But they are false and misapplied because many people do not understand what the Bible actually says about these things, unquote. And I guess you do, sir. Okay. All right. Now, let's go on here. We got another question. What do healthcare workers say? Do people actually cite this as a reason to avoid the shot? Well, good people, I really don't want to know what healthcare workers say at this point because they have enough drama going on. So, let's get to the statistics here. Now, let's talk about the pharmaceutical companies. Now, Johnson & Johnson, same journal, says that a single dose shot provided protection against the virus and was effective against hospitalization and death. Okay, despite the fact that people still were super spreaders and even you know what good people. Okay, now the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reported that 54% of Americans are vaccinated and 63.9% have received at least one dose. By the end of September, 56% of people in the USA are projected to be fully vaccinated and 59% by January 1, 2022, according to data from the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation. Once again, good people, this article appeared on USA Today. All right, good people, sad to say, but that's it for today. And remember, if you have a bad day, like all these questions coming our way, try keeping both eyes open and studying to show thyself approved so that you can be okay. This is your guy, Mr. Educator, Mr. Communicator, Mr. Free Thinker. Subscribe, share, and like to keep me rocking on the mic. Have a good night.